This is funny. We're doing a game show now, and then we're doing a game show on the Ascend podcast tomorrow.
Are you gonna do like trivia or like is it challenges? Like what kind of game show are you doing?
Trivia for sure.
Oh, sick.
Game show. All right,
Connor's
we're live.
gonna ask me a bunch of questions.
We're live. This is our boy Tristan.
Gang.
Is it a 2-time CrossFit game coach or 3-time Indy?
3-time Indy CrossFit Games coach.
Oh yeah, 23.
Hattie twice.
Hattie twice, Kelly once.
Yep.
Yeah.
And did you coach a team ever?
Einhorn Ascend the same year as Kelly. And then I was the assistant coach / like main programming coach the year Emily and Duncan and Jordan and Kelly were on that team.
Nice. What about this?
This year CC was on a team, but I didn't coach the team. I just coached her.
Nice.
So
lots of experience.
I have definitely had the drink from the fire hose CrossFit Games coaching experience, which has been good. But yeah,
that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
So you've seen, well, I mean, back it up. Like how many, just to lay it out for people, you've been on the show before. Tristan is a CrossFit coach, functional fitness coach, all around good dude. You also coach classes, correct?
Yeah. I coach 3 classes a week.
Okay. Sick. So, and how long have you been doing CrossFit for?
I started in 2014 overseas doing it myself, just watching videos and just dove full in. Just like started.
Wait, do we have the same origin story? Just Sands overseas?
Maybe. Yeah, it was 2014. I was stationed in Bahrain for a year.
Metal shop building, working out.
We had a decent, well, the one on the base was decent. The gym on our tack site was rough. But I saw the games on ESPN, the 14 games, and I was like, well, these guys are jacked. I want to do that. And I didn't know they were all 5'6". So
you look a lot on TV.
Yeah. So I just dove full in, and then we got back in November 2014, immediately started going to CrossFit gym. Shout out CrossFit 915 in El Paso. And just dove in, got my L1 July 4th weekend of 2015 and never looked back, basically.
When did you start one-on-one coaching?
So I co-owned an affiliate down here in League City / Clear Lake in Greater Houston area. And I coached there from 2016. I started coaching there in 2016. I took over programming for the gym around that time. And then I would just write programming. And then there would be a couple people from the gym. Somebody would be like, I really want to PR my back squat, and I'd be like, well, all right, I'll write you a squat program, like that kind of stuff. So that's kind of how it started. I had a stint where I programmed for myself for a year.
Haven't we all?
Yeah. Right. So that I learned a lot. I mean, we've never actually really talked about this. I'm like a calico cat of programming. So
what do you mean by that?
So like, right? Yeah. So
do you just not know what a calico cat is?
No, I do, but is it different than like a tabby or like an orange cat? Like,
yeah, it's just
like what are the
they're like
characteristics?
multicolored. They're multicolored. So
he's just saying he's multifaceted.
So like when I started training, Jordan Cook was training at the gym. Jordan Travis, they were at the gym all the time, and he coached at that gym. And I mean, I walked in and he was like, so what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I want to go to regionals. And he said, well, you should do Misfit. I was like, okay, cool. So I did Misfit for a year. And then I got a one-on-one coach after that, who was a gentleman who actually works at NASA still to this day. He's the project manager for ARED. They're like exercise science division and things like that. So I did about a year under him, completely different style of training, right? And then I programmed for myself for around a year. And then I was like, screw it, I'm going to do what's Rich doing. So from like late
OG, dude.
Yeah, like late 2018. Yeah, I did what's Rich doing when nobody did what's Rich doing except like Royce and 3 other people when it was still on Watify.
Before Mayhem even had branded programming.
Yeah, exactly. So like late 2018 through like through like that second open in 2019. I did what's Rich doing. I still wrote my own lifting because I had a low back injury that I had figured out how to manage pretty well. And I was like, I'm not going to derail myself there. But I did most of the conditioning. I mean, on an average day, I probably did 75% of what was in Watify that he did. But I still was definitely the fittest I'd ever been. And then, I don't know, I kind of dabbled with the Mayhem stuff for a while after that. That was when they were getting big and like compete, like 2020, all that stuff. I kind of dabbled with that. And then 2022 Ascend started, and Jacob had been at my gym. So that's how Jacob and I met. He was going to school around where my gym was. And our coaching relationship actually started as he didn't have time to do everything from Mayhem that they would put in a day. So our coaching relationship started with me picking the pieces he should do. And then when Ascend started, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to start writing, my own stuff and my, stuff for all the athletes that I coach with this. And I just had a conversation with Jacob. I was like, hey man, like, this is where I'm going. I think I know what you need. Like, do you want to do this? And he was like, yeah, let's go. So I've been coaching Jacob for a long time. Jacob and my wife were like my first real kind of athletes. So,
and they're still in it.
Still in it.
Well, your wife has no choice.
Yeah, she doesn't have a choice. But
for how long did your programming kind of look like Mayhem when you started writing your own? Like, how did you break away from the parroting effect? You know how that happens with coaches? Like you do a program for a long time, or you watch a program for a long time, and like you're biased because that's all you know. Like, how long did that take for you to break away from that?
A little while. So I think I guess this is part of the Calico Cat effect too, is when I started really writing my own full structure. So I wrote down every workout I did from Misfit, and I wrote down every workout I did when I did my own programming, and I wrote down every strength progression in Google Sheets or whatever, Docs. My Google Sheets looks like a maniac. And
I have the same thing.
I took a lot of notes when I was doing what's Rich doing, and he did a lot of stuff that was different. So then when I branched out and kind of started writing my own programming when I got hired at Ascend, I took concepts from all of the programs that I had done and the coaching that I had gotten. Like, I think there's things that, I don't know what Misfit does now, but there was things that they did when I did Misfit that were incredibly effective. And there was things Rich did when I was doing what's Rich doing that I thought were incredibly effective. Like the work rest 1-to-1, I call them Metcon repeats, basically like 7 minutes of work, 5 minutes to 1-to-1 rest, right? Like, but at the same time, I was like, but you still need AMRAP 20. You still need, those longer things. The guy who coached me one-on-one, Cody, he was OG CrossFit endurance seminar staff. Like, he worked with Brian McKenzie back in the day. So he was really big in like longer endurance efforts. And I got super fit when I was with him. I ran a 5:26 mile at like 208 pounds. I PR'd all my endurance metrics. My gymnastics were trash, but it was like, so when I started, I had a lot of pieces from all these places that I had been that I thought were the best parts, and kind of combined them. And now, like 4 years down the road, or 3.5 years down the road, the remnants of those things probably are less there, and it's my own flavor now. But it was just kind of iteratively over time. I think I kind of weeded or found my own way with how I write stuff.
Do you think that when you started piecing those puzzles together before you found your own flavor, as you said, do you think that there was like a big learning curve of how they fit together?
I mean, additionally to that,
Yeah.
like Harley's question, adding on is like you said, you said some pieces you found really effective. So
Mhm.
like layers in that, like how did you know those were effective? And then like what Harley's saying is like, how did you pull them out?
I think what I thought was effective, and I always reference against two things, like what's the physiology this was targeting, like the adaptation, and then is this sport specific, right? So like, and this is just my opinion, I could be completely fucking wrong, but
Hey, you've had lots of people at the CrossFit Games, so I think you know how to break the test. You go ahead. Your opinion.
The like Metcon repeat stuff from Rich and them that they were doing back then. I don't know if they still do this, but be 3 or 4 sets, 3 to 5 minutes of work, maybe 7, rest 1 to 1. You're just getting a ton of aerobic power work with the mixed modal movements you're doing, right? So you're building a ton of fitness. And I did that stuff and I was like, man, this is the sauce, right? Like this is just so good. And then I like jumped in with my gym and did a 20-minute AMRAP, and 13 minutes in, I was like, because I had forgot how to pace a 20-minute AMRAP because I hadn't been doing 20-minute AMRAPs. So it was like, I've always been introspective enough with those kind of things to be like, okay, this has something to it, but it's not the complete picture in my mind. And same thing with like stuff I had done back in 2016 and beginning of 2017 with like Misfit and things I took from Cody when he was coaching me was a lot of like how he made me aerobically fit, and that kind of stuff. So having all that to reference back to helped me a lot when I sat down and was like, all right, how am I going to put this all together? What should be in the preseason? What should be in the off season? What should be in the in season? How much volume? This, that, and the other. Reference back quarterfinals. Blah blah blah. Right. So I think that answers your guys' question.
Hopefully. Yeah, I'll add a layer to it.
Yeah.
So you said sport specific as a term that you threw around in your rationalization of like what categorized something as effective or not, right?
Yeah.
And Todd and I talk about this quite a bit sometimes. And so like I gave a client aerobic erg, some burpees, aerobic erg, light dumbbell movement, right? Mm-hmm. For let's say it was 15 minutes on, 5 minutes off, 3 times, something like that. Something long sustained, learn to pace, learn to sustain. Sort of talking about that missing piece that you felt you found out was missing whenever you went from what is Rich doing to something else. Todd asked, wouldn't it be just as effective to just have them row or bike exclusively, pick one modality and run it for 15 minutes on, 5 minutes off at a tempo effort? And, my rationale is, it's not sport specific enough. Because I believe mixed modality movements have a unique effect on the system, mind, etc. Even if you're pretty far from season, some level of specificity is needed, in my opinion. Where do you stand on that?
I mean, I'm a big proponent of all things in the program at all times, right?
Yeah,
do it all. More is more.
We were talking about stuff, and he texted me back. Like in context of the games programming this year and some of the data I was collecting, and he's like, everything is everything. I was like, come on.
So everything is everything is a saying that one of my really, really good friends, and she actually used to coach for me at the gym. She used to say, she used to be like, everything is everything. And like, I love that quote so much. To me, sport. So this is kind of the way that I think both of those answers are right. It just depends on what do you want, right? If Todd is like, well, I'm going to give him sport specificity on Wednesday and they're going to do that Monday, then you're like, sure. And if his athlete can train twice a day, dope. Because then you have more opportunities for that. If the person you were writing for, Harley, is like, well, they just really suck at burpees. So like, I'm going to give them some more burpees and they only have 90 minutes a day to train, then you have to be more selective on how often you're giving them sport specific reps, right? Because they can't deviate too far from the program or they're going to lose repetition or frequency. the way I break that stuff down in my head is like, it's a lot of it's in football terminology, because the person that really helped me have a lot of these conversations with myself and not sound crazy is my friend Trevor, and he's a strength conditioning coach at School of Mines. Also incredibly fit and smart dude.
School of Mines here near Denver.
Mm-hmm.
Neat.
Yeah.
Right up the road, dude.
I was gonna go meet this guy now.
So like you should. He's the best. So AMRAP 20 gymnastics monostructural weightlifting. That's sport specific. Now, yes, it can be training because our sport is the sport of training, right? But to me, that's sport specific. 2K row, that's your 40, right? That's your 225 bench test. Yeah. Those are KPIs. Those are like things that are important, and they need to be relatively in the ballpark of where we need them to be, or there's probably something lagging somewhere. But like, we can find athletes all over the place at any level of the sport who it's like, yeah, okay, you've got a dope 2K row, but I just beat you in this rowing workout. Why? Or this workout with a rower in it. Well, there could be a physiological limit there, but more than likely, I'm just better at playing the sport. Right? So like,
yeah, assuming all things are equal, like you do double unders rowing and toes to bar,
right?
And like the person with the higher 2K gets smashed on. It's like, okay, well, there's skill components there. Right. There's change in aerobic and anaerobic processes there. The bounding might mess somebody up. So like, and you can play that game over and over and over with different types of conditioning workouts. So like, I actually am Harley said what he said, and I try not to have a lot of CrossFit in people's training because I just think it grinds people up a lot. But what you're saying, the value of it is like people do have to deal with the problem of those things and learning how to pace. And so over the time that I've coached, I've figured out different ways to do that, where like even in our class today, and I do this with my athletes as well, it's like they're doing toes to bar, burpee, box jump overs, and rowing, and I prescribe an effort level for each movement. So then that way they can manage the work appropriately. And those effort levels come from tests that we did. So they know, how many toe to bar they can do. They know how quickly they can do the burpee box jump overs, and they know their 500-meter row pace. And we regress the percentage. So it's like row at 70% of your 500-meter row pace, which can hopefully keep them in that 20, because oddly, it was 20-minute AMRAP today with those prescribed intensities. Yeah. And the prescription of intensity allows them to be unique to them.
Right.
And build their fitness, like in the way that you're saying, without them fully exploding and expressing those abilities. Like if someone's super good at toe to bar, maybe they do them all unbroken. It's like slow, collected, and smooth. And maybe they're still working in their burpee box jump over. And then you have the prescribed rowing. So you can really focus and hammer that mixed piece of burpee box jump over. And the more times you can isolate those things, I think you can build people's chinks in their chain in the mixed modal sport or sport specific of that conditioning. Like I use that approach, like you're saying, just in a different lens.
Yeah, 100%. Like I give athletes pieces like that pretty regularly, especially in this time of year, or if they're like aerobically deficient, or I agree. Like I think the juxtaposition I run into, especially with a lot of like lower level RX or intermediate level athletes, is CrossFit, if you go too hard, beats you up mentally and physically if you do it 365 days out of the year. So if you would just listen to me and not go so fucking hard today, we can still do CrossFit and you can learn how to play the sport better and come back and train well tomorrow, right? But that is like a psychological thing you have to break athletes of, or you have to just take their toys away and not let them, which is what a lot of coaches end up doing a lot of the time, right?
It's easier to do that.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, you're just going to I mean, we did it with our affiliate yesterday. It was a 20-minute echo bike or C2 bike if we didn't have enough echoes for the class. RPE 7 to 7.5 every 2 minutes, 5-bar muscle ups, alternate between 5-bar muscle ups, 200-meter run. And like I did it, and I'm very unfit right now. And I sat like pretty smoothly at like 55 RPMs. And my heart rate was probably zone 3, then got into zone 4 toward the majority. But I was like, no, this is still RP 7 to 7.5. Like I'm controlled. I got like 102 calories, right? somebody on the leaderboard had like 198. And I was like, hey, dog, that is not RP 7 to 7.5. I'm sorry. Like, you're not him. like, and it's just hard for people to do that, to understand we're trying to target different physiological adaptations that are the thing that I think helped me with my Metcon prescription a lot, or my conditioning prescription, is my background in exercise science. You do not get to the energy system you're using is dictated by the intensity you're moving, whether you like it or not.
Everyone quote that. Just put it.
Clip it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Like, so it's like, if I there's some like relative gray area to that, as with all things, but like, if I want you to be aerobic, I need you to slow down. Like, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, so anyways.
So with like all that stuff, you get a potential games athlete coming in, and you've had obviously the experience now, and we can later on talk about the differences from last year's games, this year's games, but they come into you, like someone like Hattie Canio comes into you, or Kelly Baker, and Kelly was on teams before and everything else. And like, do you take the approach that most people talk about of like finding what the weakness is and then just fixing that weakness? And if so, do you see a success there, like right away?
Yeah. I mean, you've got to raise the limiter, right? Like, most importantly. But it's also, I think there's a lot of value in continuing to be able to hit your home runs, especially with the way semifinals is traditionally scored with a 100-point system.
How often, to segue with what you were talking about earlier about training for adaptations, how often is it not a limitation in movement selection or coordination or accuracy or skill development, versus it being a limitation in like, hey, this person just can't do this for 20 minutes or can't do this for 3 minutes or can't, like, how often do you see it being just an energy system problem with those types of people?
Not often at all. I mean, Kelly and Hattie, I mean, I can juxtapose that too with Jacob, right? Like, Kelly and Hattie are both incredibly fit. So for them, it was more so figuring out where we were short on a specific movement or muscle endurance or strength metric, this, that, and the other. Rep speed, sport specific, like getting better at transitioning faster, those things, versus somebody like Jacob. So what you said, if all things are equal, it's actually ironic because I came up with an "if all things are equal" quote a couple weeks ago. But like, for Jacob, all things
guess what it is?
Yeah, you can guess what it is.
If all things are equal, then they're equal.
No.
Oh, but I thought everything is everything.
Everything is everything.
And more is more. So if it's equal,
and better is better. So for Jacob, all things are equal, except his fitness. Mm-hmm. His strength is equal. His skills are equal. His muscle endurance is, I would say, 90% equal, depending on the level of muscle endurance required, right? He's just not fit enough.
So what do you think that is?
Preach, brother. Preach.
Like, what do you, so like, we talked a lot over the games and I took notes of every event, and it's much easier sitting there in the stadium and seeing every heat, first heat, second heat, third heat, and taking the averages and the split times of those things, how fast people are moving, versus like watching on the live, because the live, you can't see all of those things. And like, even coaching one athlete or a couple of athletes, you're only seeing the heat that they're in. You're not getting that. So for me at the games, that was a huge like opportunity. And Marissa and I even talked about saying, hey, let's next year send all our coaches to the games, set them up in a suite with laptops. And it's like, Harley, you're in charge of event 3 and 4, male, female, all heats. So-and-so, you're in charge of teams, you're this. And we're just going to take movement speeds. We're going to look at the movements, and we're going to create averages and bell curves. And like something Misfit did, if Sophia goes and pulls it up. I
saw that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I was like, hey, they did the work for us, but it's better to like, our work could be more detailed. So like, because I've done that now, I'm looking through a lens and I'm like, man, I told Marissa in the car ride back to New York because it's only 3 hours. I was like, I feel like anyone could do it. Like, and I've always said that, but it's like not anyone, but you know, you get somebody who's got the right characteristics, the right things. It's like what you were saying when you said movement speed, rep count speed. Like, I feel like that's the thing that people are missing. And that's almost the only thing you really need to train once you've gotten someone to the level of play across the board that you're trying to compete at, right? Like we talked about the squatting. If you're a male athlete, you can't squat over 400 pounds on the back squat, you like need to work on that, you know, and they have these breakdowns here, which are kind of cool. So like I said, 485, I was telling you 485 back squat, you're like, that's too low. And then they got 477, which I laughed about when I saw that.
308.
You know, but you're looking at these times and like they went through and got the averages. Yep. And now they don't have each specific breakdown for each movement, which is what I did was like how long did it take them to do this? How fast the girls biking, handstand push-ups, the handstand walking, how'd they break the deadlifts? When did they break their deadlifts? Like you get all these movements and you only get a snapshot of some of these workouts and the movements at those loadings in those settings in the combinations that they're in. Although you did say everything is everything. So I'm willing to bet those athletes, whether it was running, deadlift, and handstand walks, or if it was rowing, deadlift, handstand walks, or whatever, it doesn't make a difference to them. I think the outcome might have been very similar at the end of the day, as long as you have a monostructural weightlifting and gymnastics movement.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Structure. So what comes down is like what you alluded to and said is like the movement speed matters when you get those elite athletes who don't have any holes.
Right. So
you were describing Jacob as being the opposite of that. So what is the bridge between where he is and where he wants to go? Like, what are you building for that?
Yeah, like Hattie's success, like, because I would just say, like, I know they're male, female, and like what Harley's saying is like Hattie's up here, right, with success and doing that thing, and he's like just right there. Like, how do you move him? What do you look at to move him forward?
I mean, running.
The boy needs to run.
So my quote, and like, I mean, if people take this and make fitter athletes than me, I don't care. But if all things are equal, the better runner wins in CrossFit.
Ooh. I agree. I just think it's hard for people to hear.
I agree too.
Myself included.
So and it's not because running is like woo. It's just running is the only.
That's a good description.
Running builds aerobic fitness while you're supporting your body weight against gravity like nothing else.
And it's controllable.
And yes, it just is what it is. So let's play that thought out with those three athletes. Kelly Baker said, hey, I want to go to the CrossFit Games as an individual. She was a great runner. All I did was make, and I'm saying this in hindsight, I didn't know I was doing it at the time. Yeah. All I did was make everything else equal.
To the running.
Yeah. To the field.
Yeah.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Hattie was the same thing the first year. We found what wasn't equal and made it equal, and she was fit enough once it was equal to support it. Now we juxtapose Jacob. All things are freaking equal, basically. You're just not fit enough.
Except the work capacity.
And it's not, you still have to do your due diligence, in my opinion, on the other things, right?
Well, he did, sorry to cut you off, but he did amazing at TFX. And I know that you guys almost spent a whole year running. Yeah. So like you're on the right track. So it's kind of a thing, a waiting game, right?
It's a game of attrition and ceiling.
Yeah. Right. Do you think he's at his ceiling with it?
No, he hit a PR. He hit a PR 7K today.
Yeah. So you're just chilling and waiting until his body adapts.
We're just waiting.
It's as long as he's willing to run that course.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
And for Jacob, the beauty about somebody like Jacob, and this is where like it's not all about running. Like I don't want anybody to listen to this. You're like, I'm just gonna go run a shitload. It's harder than you think to make all things equal.
Right. Well, yeah, you have to. So like I was talking about today, like you got to be a male athlete who can do 30 ring muscles, no problem. 50 strict handstand ventures, no problem. Handstand walk 500 feet, no problem. You got to ride the echo, ski, bike, run.
Burpees.
Yeah, you got to be able to do all the
Strength
things.
endurance.
Strength endurance, CP
And you
battery.
got 477 pounds. Like,
Right.
so like you have to get those metrics and really have those clearly defined in your mind. And if you're not a coach, as the athlete, you now have to go through and do all the work and the due diligence to get those metrics and then build a program that allows you to get there, which I don't think a lot of athletes are doing.
Well, and then even a step back prior to that is like, you know, you have to have the body to be able to do that, right? Like the hypertrophy.
You have to have genetics too.
The muscle. Yeah. The
Look at my boy Jay Crouch, though. Look at him.
Okay. He's pretty jacked, dog.
Look at that guy. He's smart.
Dang jack, dude.
He's like half the size of people.
It's like, that's where all of the other programming things that all the coaches have been doing for so long come into play. You know, it's like, if you're an athlete who needs to get stronger and you don't have a 500-pound back squat, yes, you can do 5x5, but you might also need to do heel elevated goblet squats. And if you're like, you know, you got tiny biceps, you might need to do some bicep curls and like to help out with your rope climbs. And it becomes an infinite game because we don't ever know what's going to be tested, and almost never are you going to be completely perfect at everything. Right. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you look at Jacob, the two guys who, now granted, there wasn't a long run at TFX. Okay, fine. But the two guys who beat him on the podium, they're better runners.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Him and Nate were third and fourth, and him and Nate both have things they need to improve on in terms of their running. So it's like, again, for Nick and Chris, all things were equal and they were the fittest runners there. Right? Mm-hmm. On the women's field at TFX, Olivia destroyed everybody because all things were not equal to her for anyone else in that field.
Yeah, they were definitely like up her alley, those workouts.
Right. So,
which is fine. Like, we talk about that a lot because the sport is so great, and the fact that it's constantly varied, you get a good roll of the dice. And so like,
right,
you could just keep building these things, have everything be all equal, and wait for that good deck of hand to be played to you.
Hey, don't attack me like that, Todd.
Listen, dude, that happened to you.
Sure. Damn sure it did.
Jason Hopper got on yesterday on Sevon and on the Boys Interrupted and said that exact thing. That happens, he was so sick in the back after event 9 because in his mind, he was like, dude, this is never, he said this. I'm paraphrasing exactly what he said, but he said this. This is never going to happen to me again. If I don't win it right now, I'm never winning the CrossFit Games, because in his mind, he would have never had the great lead up, the good coaching, the good preparatory, the good workouts, the fact that you could qualify from online, and he shines online. And then the games workouts themselves were lined up. And he said that himself. So it's like, I think he'll win the CrossFit Games again, but that happens to everyone, even him.
Momentum. It can, for sure.
And I'm glad he said that, because it is a known fact within the space, if you pay attention, that and
you have to be fit enough to capitalize on the opportunity. You can't just like get a deal of the cards after a year where you just goofed off and didn't really apply yourself and then expect
you might be able to, but more often than
not, it's not going to happen that way.
You goofed off. You just goofed off for a whole year.
Goofed off the whole year.
They give you deadlifts and you're like, yes.
What was the other part of that question that you had asked?
I don't know. That was pretty good. I think it's like the idea of, because you look at the unique thing I think about this year, and agree or disagree, is like it was so classic of CrossFit, and Dave said that. And I have not heard any real criticisms about the program design, except for like, oh, it didn't have the odd objects, it didn't have blah blah, it didn't have a turf, and like I miss that. I think it makes it cool. But I think when you look at the movement selections and you look at .com and you look at what they're trying to do, and then on the back end at the coaches conference, they talked about just generally how they're going to try and bring CrossFit back to I don't want to say the good old days, but they're trying to walk it back a little bit to the hardcore days. So you would think like, okay, well, one of those pillars and core values would be, hey, we got to do more classic CrossFit. Yeah. And what does that mean? It's like, we'll go back to old .com workouts and do those things that way. Also connecting, because like, I know people are making the joke of like, these are the affiliate games or whatever, or like in-gym games. But I think that those people making those comments, rightfully so, because of the I guess the other side of the coin of what we've seen in the past versus like knowing what .com and what CrossFit originally was. Because I look at those workouts, I'm like, yeah, it's classic CrossFit. And yes, you could do them in your affiliate, but to do exactly as prescribed in your affiliate would take a lot. And to get those times that people were getting would also take a lot. Like you look at running it, for example, you can't do running Isabel at 155 in that time if you can't even do like a 1 minute and 30-second Isabel itself, let alone run 200 feet. Even though people said running 200 feet was dumb, I thought it was great.
That event was lit.
Yeah, I was so impressed that Jason took himself to complete failure.
He had to. He's trying to get a.
I know. That was amazing. That was like, I found that so impressive because just think about how fit they are and how much capacity and how strong he is in a, CP battery setting. And it's like, you look at that, you would never imagine someone of that level failing 155. That's my point.
I think the thing with the criticism about it being the in affiliate games, like I get it, but the people who are saying that have a very large amount of work capacity relative to the average CrossFit person or fan.
Yeah.
So you're not entertained because it's not something that would potentially stretch or reach you.
Sure.
Right.
But it's like that either though.
I think Hiller has a higher, he was one of the people who said that. There were other people. He does have a higher level of fitness. So I kind of get on board with what Tristan's saying.
I don't know.
And I could see that. It does make it fun and cool when they're carrying stuff and pushing stuff and the spectacle of it all. But I think just for where we're at with CrossFit and everything else, I think it was great to do those workouts.
I thought they played out really well. Harley's other question was, can anybody do it?
That was Todd's point. Yeah.
Or Todd's point. Yes and no. I think there is a genetic.
I like that you hesitated though, so that's good.
Well, I don't want to say no because that's incredibly disparaging and discouraging to people, right? It's like, no, you're just not like, sorry, you didn't have the right parents. Sucks to suck. But like, it's a little part of it. But I do think if you take a detailed approach to understanding what are the KPIs and then building those up through intentional programming and smart training, you can reach a level of performance that will be remarkable for what your physiology is capable of. And that's still a super cool thing, right? Like I know if I would have had a coach who knew what I know now and I could have bought in fully, I could have went to regionals. But I didn't have that then, so I made too many mistakes and lost too much time and injured myself. Right?
Yeah.
I was never under the illusion that I was going to go to the games. Like, I am well aware I'm the offspring of two great value brand white people. It's cool. like we're not specimens over here. So it's, but like the pursuit of that is still very meaningful, right? Mm-hmm. And you're going to be a better person on the other side of it.
Yeah.
So it's still worth pursuing.
I think absolutely. I think that through thoughtful training, consistently executed over a long period of time, people will build a level of capacity and ability within themselves in their life that they never would have otherwise. Right. Like that sounds obvious, but I think that in itself should be motivating, right? Like, that should be. Like, I think so, but that's also where I place my value in my day-to-day life as a person, human, and how I can benefit others. So that's my opinion. I'm biased, but
it's a good take.
Well, I mean, like CrossFit in general, like they talked to the coaches at the coaches conference about this, like in the whole thing and explaining it. And like, we all know this, like, you thrive in doing hard things. Like even going to school and getting a master's degree is a hard thing. Saving your money to buy a house is a hard thing. Like everybody talks in their life about the hard things. And this is something that is very unique that has a reward at the end that you could train for, whether that's a local comp or it's the CrossFit games, and train and do training blocks to get yourself better and improve yourself mentally and physically to do something hard. So that's why it is rewarding, just like it is rewarding to go to school and do these other things that are, I would say, more in the norm of achievement, but still valuable and on the same level of value. Unfortunately, people don't look at this very valuably. And also like the Olympics, like too. I know Olympic athletes that people are like, just unless you're like one of the big Olympic sports, like you could be doing like archery and people are like, oh, but it's like you're an Olympian. You did archery and Olympia. I think it's sick, but I like sports, so that's different. But some people be like, most of the time people are like, that's cool, you're an Olympic athlete. And then I think sometimes they're like, oh, it was in squash though. And it's like, oh, okay. That's not as cool. But anyways, yeah. As a coach with the, the program design and coaching Hattie through the events, regardless of all the other stuff that happened with those events, like what did you learn from, what did you take away? And like, where do you look at to be like, okay, this is what I got to integrate into training. This is something I learned about training, program design, is Hattie going to keep going? Do you know? Have you had that conversation yet?
We haven't had a full debrief yet, but I think that's going to be the plan.
This is Hattie Daniel. If you guys don't follow her, give her a follow. Hard work.
Hattie K. Yeah, I feel pretty confident she will want to run it back next year. I think from the X's and O's of training and programming, I think the two biggest things I took away are rep speed or speed of movement is more valuable than it's ever been before. And the reason I say that, because rep speed has always been valuable, especially on like qualifiers,
all my note taking agrees with you 100%.
Sick. We're both not crazy. But in-person competitions, it used to be more, so the games, semifinals, a lot more about strategizing better than your other competitors, or slightly faster transitions, things like that. But if you watch, especially all of the heats of the women I saw, and then I saw the last two heats of the men, the last workout is the example I'm going to use. Everybody did the exact same game plan.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to win anymore, or you're not going to do well anymore off of having a better game plan, because there's assholes like us who are going to tell our athletes what to do, and we're all going to arrive at the same general conclusion within, 5%.
Yeah, rep or two, or like,
right.
Oh yeah, you're gonna rest 7 seconds between each rope.
Well, yeah, maybe we play to somebody else's strengths and weaknesses. I don't know. Jacob's at the games in the last event, and he's in 20th. I'm like, hey, just go unbroken on the thrusters and see what happens. Whatever. Like, fuck it. But so then the only thing that's left is transitions and movement speed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When I watched Jason Hopper do thrusters faster than Austin Hatfield, I about stroked out in the warm-up area. I was like, what is happening?
I had my same experience. I did the affiliate workout, and we were doing empty barbell thrusters, and I was in a group of 4, and the girl that I was partnered with was like at my shoulder, and I was like, this is going to go great. And then I started speeding up my movement speed, and she was like, how are you going so fast?
Like I try to.
I'm trying to,
It takes focused effort.
It does.
Yeah. So I think
strategy and technique over time.
A tall guy can also beat a small guy if they practice. And I guarantee Jason's practice because he knows he's a tall guy.
Well, and Jason also has the prerequisite strength for that bar to be light enough to move it that fast. He has the endurance to not blow up. And then he did it in very smart sets with a short rest. I mean, he was in control of that workout, right? But that was a master class of, in my opinion, I mean, we saw it on the Running Isabel. How many people just beat somebody in that event because they cycled snatches faster?
Yeah. Like that up until like the 4th round, if you didn't implode and they're trying to hold off that implosion, because it's going to happen in a workout like that regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the 4th round, I was like, oh man, Jay's going to catch people because his bar speed is a little bit faster. But then he started to implode over all the duration of the workout, and the running was like, oh shit, now you're out of it. But his cycling speed was still faster than everybody else's.
Right.
So you hang on to the total speed.
When Hattie was doing that workout, she was actually in lane 10, so I was close to her. I was screaming at her to get to the bar before Annika, because there was no shot in hell she was going to move that bar as fast as her. Yeah. Right. So I think that is one of the biggest things. And then I think one of the other real big takeaways is, you have to have intensity with your volume, but even at a 10 event CrossFit Games, when you're going that hard, if you're not doing the prerequisite amount of volume, Sunday is going to tear you up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the volume that matters. I think the community has started to realize that and get past that. And I think for coaches, really, like, I think we've realized you can't just volume people to death all the time, but you better be ready for 10 events at max effort by the third day, or you're just going to be cooked.
I mean, that's just like building a base of tolerance, right? Period.
Yeah. I think the catch is how do you building that base effectively when you're doing max effort. So like the men's field in particular, because I talked to a couple guys in the back, and I talked to a couple of the girls. A lot of them were cooked after that run.
Yeah.
Well, and they all.
Chris Obaro was like on the Proven YouTube. He was like, I just want to go home. I was like,
and they all did the event beforehand.
Yeah.
And they all run 6 to 10 miles probably at a time, at least once or twice before the games, maybe, whatever, something like that. But the problem is you don't run 6 miles as fast as possible.
Correct.
Yeah. Dude, and the hurt on their faces coming back, it was wild. Like they have that one picture of Annika, and I was like, I was trying to tell people, like, no. Everybody, even Tia, and she had the glasses on, you could see her just like gritting her teeth.
Well, I mean, did you see so badly. They posted her heart rate, like Whoop or something? 202. Like, I mean,
not the whole time, but she was up there.
Yeah, but you still have to be able to live at your maximum intensity,
right?
And then be able to recover from it. But that's the biggest issue, is the lack of recovery after that event is what you're getting at.
Yeah, I mean, I said this to Hattie. The second event of the CrossFit Games is recovering from the first event.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Like that was the second event of the games.
There we go.
Because
that was that first
turnaround.
She hit her max heart rate at how long? Go back to that previous graph.
It was in the first 4 miles because she also had to run ahead because they lined everybody up by their open placement.
Her heart rate drop, I can't really read that, but I would almost say that's the rower, 100%. And then
she reached her max heart rate in the first 15 minutes, then settled back in once she was in the place she wanted to be for the race.
Right. She almost rode it exactly 2-minute pace because she got off the rower like 12:01. So she was for the 3K. It was crazy. And I'm glad like they were able to show on the live feed like her. Because like, okay, so if she's rowing 2 minutes, but almost everybody else rode 2 minutes. It was just when they got to the rower.
Except Amy Kringle going 153 like a savage.
Well, because she was trying to catch Tia,
That was cool. That was gangster. Props to her.
Yeah, settled in at 2 minutes. But like those things you find really interesting as a coach, because it's almost, we say unknown and unknowable, or the combinations are whatever they are. And like, even with the saying you said in the beginning of everything is everything, do you feel like this games, because I kind of feel this way, and I just want confirmation, it's giving enough data to know where somebody needs to get to and move at, similar to like a High Rocks where you get the printout of the running paces and everything else. Like it's giving us more information to allow us to build athletes in that direction if that's where they want to go, and making it more tangible, because they did test a lot of things that we now have so much more information over. And like you said, the fitness matters. I think they tested so much like fitness, and the movement speeds matter. And if you collect those movement speeds, all you got to do is go into the gym and say, okay, well, I'm going to build a progression and a training program that's going to help me build towards those movement speeds.
Right.
Brother. All right. Well, reining it back in a little bit for people who aren't necessarily as gifted as a bubble games athlete who's trying to bridge that gap, right? Or a perennial semifinal athlete. How are we bridging the gap from an intermediate to an RX, or an RX to elite, person? And I think that you touched on something really important about movement speed, but I think that there's a diminishing return if someone doesn't have the requisite fitness or base of muscle endurance to tolerate that speed, to recover between sets, right? Like if someone is moving so fast besides themselves, but they don't have the requisite volume or fitness to, do that in a mixed setting, they're just going to blow up right away.
Correct. Yes. So
how do we bridge that gap for a lower level person? That's my question.
So to me, that just goes back to like the like really nuts and bolts of like increasing 1RM, increasing raw strength, increasing muscle endurance,
basically,
and
things.
Yeah, but I also think it's okay to start trying to teach them to move faster, and like giving them applicable loads or volume amounts relative to the level they're at now, because then they're going to be able to perform level within their current cohort, perform better within their current cohort, and then that starts to become ingrained in them. And then they just continue to move at that speed or faster as they get stronger with a little bit heavier weight and a little bit heavier weight and a little bit heavier weight, or more reps or a longer time domain, or right?
What is something, if there's anything, there may not be something in your mind that would make you hesitant to apply speed to a certain client?
I mean, injury for sure. Injury, comfort with intensity, comfort with speed, strength ratio, especially with body weight movements. Body weight to strength ratio would make me pretty hesitant. Like, obviously a lot of the gymnastics movements are kind of one speed,
right?
But other than that, I think it would just be the thing that would jump out to mind is making sure the work and the rest is set up in a particular way to where they can recover without carrying over so much fatigue where they start to present injury with the given load or the movement, right? It's like, I'm probably not going to give, one of my intermediate guys some crazy quad squat speed work that's going to blow up his quads and have him finish with burpee box jump overs as fast as he can, because I don't want him to blow his ankle off. Right. So it's like, I think a little more in the nuts and bolts of that would be where I would fall. But if you have an injury, like I'm not doing rep speed work anytime soon. Like, I don't need, my body's not ready for that. So, and that's almost like how I've been thinking about this the last couple of days, is because you guys said it as well. Like, you have to be fit enough to then go fast and sustain going fast. So you could almost take this like theoretical, can you guys hear that?
A little bit.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
You can
almost, it's a jet. You can almost take this theoretical model of building an athlete, and it's almost like you expose them to sport specificity a little bit, so, and in the community, so they can have fun and like that. But then everything else outside of that is like building endurance and building strength and getting jacked and proficient at the endurance or the gymnastics movements.
Yeah, and the one layer I would throw in there is movement economy and just just to not. Yeah, I mean that. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I think that it goes without saying within our realm, but I think
that you should move the best to your abilities.
If you move like poop, stop everything and start moving better.
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to get at a little bit.
I appreciate you putting that disclaimer out there, Harley. Move better. Move
better.
Thank you for that.
People will move fast, but like shit.
Yeah,
shitty movement, whether it's fast or slow. So move better and then move fast.
Right. And only move fast as long as you can move fast with good movement, and then just stop. Correct. And then next week, do 2 more reps.
You're saying stop before it gets bad, or right at the edge of when it starts to get bad?
I think right at the edge.
Right, exactly.
Right. You take a couple weird thrusters and then just put the bar down. Right. And then take your recovery and run it back. Right. Because you need to be at that edge, right?
We're trying to force adaptation. We are trying to learn where that line is and ideally push that line back over time.
Right. And it's not like you're going to move. So I wrote this down on the plane. I'm going to read it and then we can tear it apart, because I don't know if it was the best summation of what I was trying to write down and think about. The rep scheme and load dictates speed.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, obviously, if you're doing burpees in a 20-minute workout versus burpees in a 10 to 15 minute interval repeated for a 20-minute AMRAP training versus a 3-minute interval, your rep speed is going to be different. Like, this thing with rep speed, it's not telling people and athletes, they need to just hammer their face in the ground as fast as they can the
Mhm.
entire time. But you need to be moving fast relative to the time domain you're working.
Yeah.
Right.
And
the
I
load you're
think
using.
that's a great way to put it, because I think that a lot of people are going to hear speed and then just start moving fast, trying to move fast in everything and then exploding.
Right.
But sorry to cut myself off. I got another call, but it's great
All right,
talking
dude.
with you, Tristan. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye, Harley.
Thanks.
Bye.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting thing, I think, with the layering of that. Like the easiest thing I think most people could align with is like the running Isabel workout, because most CrossFitters have done Isabel or Grace and doing 30 clean and jerks or 30 snatches for time, you know, and you're talking about the way they broke it up with 5 sets of 6, and they're all going unbroken until they reach failure, and their cycle speed of that unbroken. So it's like the understanding the layers, like I think what Harley is getting at. And, you know, for elite athletes, they're probably past this, because I think you can take any elite athlete and at the 155, 105, 6 unbroken, rest 30 seconds, 6 unbroken, rest 30 seconds, or whatever, a small rest, and they can do 6 unbroken for 5 sets and get those 30 done, no problem. So from there, it's what we're talking about, you know, people who want to get a little bit better. And let's say, even if you're an intermediate athlete and that 155 might be 95, it might be 65 pounds. Like, it's building that gap to move at the speed that is required for the competition. And like, I think that's what you're alluding to with the intensity, because moving faster drives more intensity.
Correct.
And so as we work on those things, you don't just move fast for the sake of moving fast. Also, I think that's what I was trying to allude to as well with like watching the games. Like, there is a movement speed that we want to get to. It's like 1.8 seconds per burpee box jump over. Okay. That's something anybody could do and work towards. Right. Now, if you're doing a workout with 30 or 50 or 100, like, how long can we hold that 1.8 seconds per burpee box jump over, and then starting building that in time and having that conversation around those things. And I was just wondering how much of that stuff from those workouts is making your wheels turn, because it made my thoughts way different about people who are on that bubble of making a semifinal or making the games. That, like what you said in the beginning, is like movement speed is all that matters, assuming they have a lot of the requisites to play.
Assuming all other things are equal.
Yeah. Everything is everything.
Everything's everything. Yeah. I mean, I have like 3 pages of incoherent babble on this notebook from the plane ride back, because so here's the thing we run into as coaches with like speed work, right? Because at the end of the day, we could just take this basically to like the track world, and it's like, okay, cool. Well, if it's speed work, it's rest until fully recovered. Well, I don't have people who can dick off in the gym for 2.5 hours to do one piece.
Right.
Right. And also, that's probably not building any fitness.
Yeah. Or volume.
Right. So that's where I'm at right now personally, with like, okay, how do I bridge rep speed premium with time efficiency and training, and then still get sport specificity, so you know how to play the game and you get reps, right? Because like, I don't know, Jacob may never be capable of doing 100 burpee box jump overs at 1.8 seconds per rep,
right?
But he probably doesn't have to, because if it's burpee box jump overs and 225 snatches, we can come off the box a little late.
Yeah.
We'll be all right. But that's the beauty of like coaching and actually game planning the workouts, right? But it doesn't mean
of this sport, I think, more than the coaching of it, you know?
Yeah.
Because if we were in High Rocks, it'd be like, well, no, you have to run.
You have to.
You have to run a 3 minute and 45 second 1,000 meter run. You have to. There's no, so like, whereas like in your scenario, because the mixing of the work allows this opportunity to continually play this game of, I have strengths, I have weaknesses, and I just need to get to the level of play with the volume, the intensities, the movements, the requisite. Like, again, like look at the misfit thing. Hey, you're a female. What's 301 back squat and 477 back squat? Like, get to that number and then focus on some other stuff and just maintain that level of strength.
Yeah.
You know, and hopefully
100%.
Unless you're like some superstar that just back squats a ton. But even then, it's like, hey, you know, leave it. Don't even back squat.
Yeah, and especially, you know, for like the quarterfinal, rest in peace, or the semifinal athlete, it's like fitness really is your premium. Like at that level, right? Like, yeah, it's nice to have a big stick you can whip out and like hit 100-point event. But for those competitions, because there's so many less events and it's not typically as many single modality skewed events, then you really, it's funny. I actually made a video we're going to post on a send tomorrow about like 2 of my takeaways. And one of them is it's still a fitness sport, everybody. Like, it's still a strong enough sport. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
Right. Danielle Brandon got last and she finished 4th.
Yeah. I love it.
Let's keep it in perspective
for a while.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. It's a strong enough sport. Yeah, that's, my head's definitely turning a lot on that stuff. And I mean, to me, it seems like the Brute gang really got this figured out and cleared up in their minds before everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, I obsessively try to think about what other people might be doing. And I don't think a lot of coaches are doing stuff that different, but
the degree of difference does make the difference. It's like even what we're talking about,
especially at that level.
Yeah.
Right. And you have first place, third place, fifth place, fourth place.
Yeah.
15th place rookie year. Like,
well, I can confidently tell you, because working with them, and then I look at Proven's programming, and they made a statement. They have 50% of the podium, so they do.
Well, they also had like 30% of the athletes.
That's very true. Also, so they do a lot of CrossFit, and I do know that especially L will have people make sure they do CrossFit. They do quite a bit of CrossFit. It just looks a little bit different than what you would think CrossFit is, and he does a really good job of that. So, like, to your point of like the sport specific stuff of it, meaning, when you say that and people hear it, I want them to realize that like that could be your class workout, like the Metcon.
Yeah,
that's sport specific. You can get a lot out of just doing a class Metcon, even if you're an elite athlete. And also, like, when you get your conditioning, like, even that's, I hate saying like conditioning and mixed modal, because it's all the same thing. Conditioning, Metcon, mixed modal, rounds for time, AMRAPs.
I do it too. I do it all the time too.
That's why I did the air quotes, but let's just call it conditioning. Your conditioning piece is the number one thing you have to be so intentional on. I think sometimes because people are working on their deficits, and they have to do those things too, and they have to do strength work, and they have to work on their ring muscle ups, that when they get to their conditioning piece, it's kind of an afterthought for some of these like B-level athletes. And what I'm seeing at the games is like, you have to put a lot of mental energy into your conditioning, just as much you put mental energy into your wall-facing handstand push-ups or your handstand walks or your snatches.
Yes.
And it can be some days, because some days it's like, hey, we're just getting volume here, and we're gonna do, I don't have a lot of people do this, but a 40-minute EMOM, like in Matt Fraser's HWPO, like that 40-minute EMOM is just volume work. It could be anything, but you're just getting reps, and that could be that mindset for that. But then you see, 7-minute AMRAP, rest 3 minutes, 4 sets. Well, okay, I got to work hard here, and if you're a really smart coach and the people don't have a lot of time, you might end up doing every 7-minute AMRAP has a small variation of the movement. So you're getting greater depth of movement selection. Maybe you go rower, ski, bike, echo, run. So you get all of those movement selections in there. And people are like, well, hold on, I didn't get to practice on one thing. It's like, well, we'll do that stuff in isolation. Right. The conditioning, we're trying to get a depth and breadth of, pod times modal domains, more so modal domains, or changing the gymnastic skills back and forth. Like today, Marissa had me doing kipping pull-ups and chest to bar or butterfly pull-ups, kipping chest bar and butterfly, alternating rounds, just to practice a skill, put me longer time under tension in the kipping, and decrease the cycle rate in the kipping versus the chest bar. And I have to change those things through that workout and deal with the different quote unquote set of stimulus there. And
I
adapted.
Something I've been toying a lot with Jacob, because he's definitely especially right now that Hattie's going to be chilling for a while. He's my experimental athlete, like with kind of muscle endurance work. Like I've given him a lot of descending reps, descending load, or ascending reps, descending load to like force more muscle endurance, keep him moving, right, and not resting, so that he can kind of keep hammering through that stuff. And I totally, like, you can write 4 sets, rest 0.5, you know, XYZ, and it's not going to look like classic CrossFit, but it's CrossFit.
Yeah, random question about how do you decide to program an AMRAP 20 minutes versus reps with allotted rest 1-to-1?
It would be, do I want them moving continuously? Like, so the reasons I would program a 20-minute AMRAP is like, okay, let's get in a very like 20-minute AMRAP is like CrossFit 101, dog. Like
Cindy.
Qualifier 101. Yeah, it's like,
yeah,
if you don't know how to vibe through a 20-minute AMRAP, yikes. So it's like getting reps at that. Are they getting ready for a qualifier soon? Depending on what else we've done in the week, do I want them to just have a steady mover, right? Have we already done interval work 3 times that week? Those are kind of the things that would run through my head immediately, like where like a 17 to 21 minute AMRAP would fit. Also, do I want them to have that AMRAP stimulus, or do I want them to work through a set of work? You know, just mentally it can be different. Like, oh God, I'm in this for 20 minutes versus, hey, 15 rounds for time, whatever. Right. Those are kind of the things that would run through my head for like a 20-minute AMRAP. And a lot of times personally, when I write a cycle of programming, I'll kind of not template that stuff out, but like, okay, cool. We're going 15 to 21 minutes every Friday for the next 8 weeks. And then maybe I'll move it around every now and then for the old switcheroo on somebody, but that's kind of how I do that.
Yeah, I always look at where people are failing. So like I would use a 20-minute AMRAP as like a testing body for myself. And let's say they get to 12 minutes and then they start dragging, So then I'm like, okay, so they can move up to 12 minutes.
Right.
So what I'll do is I'll back it up and I'll go 8 minutes, rest, 8 minutes, rest, 8 minutes. And then over time, try to string that out so that they can move at the same continual rate for the 20 minutes.
Right.
So I'll do something like that with that. And that's what dictates whether, if someone can move for 20 minutes, like what Tristan said originally is like the sports specific stuff. There's something I need to get better at too, actually, that I'm thinking about after watching the games is like, there's nothing wrong with me as a one-on-one coach giving you a 20-minute AMRAP. Because sometimes I feel like I can't do that because it's not, I don't know, individualized enough or special enough for you to make you better.
Shit, I'd be smoking people with 20-minute AMRAPs all the time.
Maybe I need a program, like take less time on my program. Just give your 20-minute AMRAP. Enjoy.
I mean, like I'll try to make sure it's appropriate and specific.
No, I know. I'm like, not that it's, I think sometimes I succumb to this thought process of like, it's lazy programming. Like they could go on .com, grab a 20-minute AMRAP and do that themselves. That's what I think about. So I try to make it more intentional and more methodical for them. Yeah. But again, after watching this games and having more conversations with other coaches, I think I've done a lot of athletes a disservice by not integrating that more into what I'm doing for them as a coach. And so like, it's hard because you would even maybe get that feedback from an athlete one day, like, hey, you're just giving me a bunch of 20-minute AMRAPs. I could get this anywhere. I'm going to go to a different coach. Right. So like relationship wise, business wise, sometimes I feel that pressure. And I think after just this question and hearing you and watching the games, I'm going to put my stake in the ground. Like, nope, this is how you're going to get better. And I know it seems very simple and rudimentary to you, but we're working on this and you need that time to accumulate reps. You need that time to learn how to move more smoothly. You need that time to like live in that thing that you're doing and learn about yourself and what's happening.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from with that. And it's hard because you do want to make sure you're giving them exactly what they need. I think for me mentally, I've just always had the mindset of, because in the back of my head, I am always kind of thinking about classic CrossFit because I am a classic CrossFit. Like I am more of a classic CrossFit guy than I am a like OPEX linear periodization guy.
Yeah.
Especially in how my thought process works and how I write
Why
programming.
I appreciate you very much because you had a different layer to our relationship and my life.
I appreciate you too, man. So for me, it's like I've always been a like, if the shoe fits, we're gonna lace that motherfucker up. Like if you need a 20-minute AMRAP, we're doing a 20-minute AMRAP. Oh, pull that comment up. I'm about to tear that up.
All right. Well, how do you stop athletes from turning a 20-minute AMRAP into an EMOM?
Tell them that CrossFit's never tested an EMOM.
It's true. And you're limiting your capacity by limiting yourself to the 1 minute time. You know what I mean? Because like,
oh God, me and EMOMs are just such a love-hate relationship. Oh God.
I think it's a good learning tool and building tool, but I think if you turn AMRAPs into EMOMs, you have a problem in your ability to like achieve better scores.
I will put my stake in the ground, and this is part of the reason why I've always programmed classic CrossFit for all of my athletes, whether it's for time, AMRAPs, this, that, and the other. If you only do interval work, whether it's every 4 minutes, every 5 minutes, EMOM, every 2 minutes, whatever, you're never going to get into that place and practice the act of telling yourself to do the next thing when you don't want to. It's always going to be bite-sized chunks.
Mm.
And like,
I see what you're saying. Cause also people, when they do EMOM style stuff, sometimes they'll work and then have a little bit of a rest. And maybe they don't start right on the minute like they're supposed to.
right.
So you start manipulating the EMOM because like you were saying, you're starting to hurt.
Well, you're starting to fall off. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll just lead into this one and like did it. And you're making all these negotiations with yourself and never really just being like, hey, just get to work, man. Like, let's go.
I mean, just off the top of my head, I know my wife had an EMOM last night. Like it's not like I don't program EMOMs. I don't like them. For a long time, I was a really big fan of the 40-minute EMOMs, especially in like the preseason kind of time frame to build that volume and those things. Yeah. But like to me, EMOMs have a time and a place. Like every structure of a workout has a time and a place. Mm-hmm. And if somebody's turning a 20-minute AMRAP into a 20-minute EMOM, I would honestly walk up to one of my athletes. If it made sense to be like, hey, try to hold around a minute, then like no big deal. But if I saw one of my athletes at the gym or one of my athletes put in their notes like, hey, I did every minute on the minute, my answer, like in the gym, I'd walk over and be like, did you just not want to get better today? Like, nice. Like, are you burned out? Like, I mean, because if there's a reason, if you're cooked or whatever, like, okay, cool. But if you're fresh, it's a Monday, we're ready to get after it, 20-minute EMOM on the docket, and you're over there just EMOMing it, I'd be like, so
yeah, what are we doing here?
Just not trying to get better? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and the other thing too is I think a lot of people don't realize that like the average time that someone does spends on a VO2 max test is about 20 minutes. So like, if you think about it in that terms of like physiology, like you're pushing yourself to the tipping point of your heart rate and your peak VO2 when you do a quote unquote longer effort in CrossFit, which gives you a ton of good adaptations. And so it's like a fake VO2 max test that you're like doing, but you're also training your body and your biology to push out your VO2 and increase your VO2. And so like, if you turn in an EMOM, that's not how you do a ramp test for your VO2 max test. Right. And that's not how you're going to like meet that peak also. So there's like just a lot of weird stuff you're leaving on the table that people don't think about. But in like, if it's going to get you through the workout and you're like, whatever.
You also miss all of the benefit of learning how to pace, and you miss all of the benefit of learning how to also like be adaptable with how you're doing the workout to then try to hold the average pace you're trying to hold. Mm-hmm. Right. It's like if you or I wrote a 20-minute, like if you wrote me a 20-minute AMRAP and you were like, hey, try to hold 2-minute rounds. Let's say it was like, I don't know, 10 cal bike, I don't know, bike, toe to bar, and I don't know, a couple clean and jerks at like 135. Like, depending on the amount of toe to bar, I'm probably going to walk into that and I'm going to be like, okay, cool. I'm going to cruise on this bike early and keep my heart rate down, and I'm going to go unbroken because I'm good at toe to bar. Yeah. Right. but I'm going to know probably around 12 minutes, depending on how like fast I'm cycling through this workout, I'm going to end up taking a break on these total bars. So I'm going to need to increase my bike pace when that happens, or I'm surely going to have to hold that bike pace. And then how am I going to hold that same average time? Am I going to go faster on my clean and jerks? So like if you're just taking the easy road of like e-momming it, you're missing and that ability to audible in a workout and continue to problem solve at a high heart rate is just the good stuff.
Yeah.
For being a competitor.
For sure. Because you end up like, because things aren't going to go to plan. And if you've done that in training where you've practiced things not going to plan and you've adapted to it, you're going to do it out on the floor or in a qualifier and you're going to be totally fine. Whereas like, well, I thought I was going to do this. And like, you see people just like, I can't make it. I can't do it. And then they just like break down and they don't even like finish the qualifier, or they just like give up in the workout on the floor. And you're just like, okay, well, like you're too married to that. Hey, I'm going to do it like this versus like having agility to be like, well, this isn't going great. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, like you said, moms have their place, but they can be dangerous.
Yeah.
So you hate them. I try sometimes to write things like an EMOM without it being an EMOM though, because I don't like what all the things you brought up about EMOMs.
Everything should take about 40 seconds.
Yeah. Rest. Now you're going to rest 20 seconds in between this movement.
You have just enough time to transition.
Yeah. That's funny. All right, cool, dude. Overall, CrossFit Games, yay or nay this year?
Yay.
Okay. CrossFit Games and CrossFit have a bright future, not getting sucked into what people are saying. Like, do you genuinely feel that way from what you saw and experienced?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely want to talk about this, more, and it'll probably be something Connor and I talk about tomorrow because he wasn't there.
Tune in.
We're back. Yeah. Ascend Athlete tomorrow at 11 Central Standard Time, I think. But I mean, I think we're back. I think we're back in a real big way. Like we had a really good, clean games. There wasn't anything wildly controversial. The races were awesome.
The races were good, dude. They made changes to the floor. Dude. He took, whether it was Dave or whatever that team is, took so much consideration into having every event be a race. Now the athlete field has gotten, to where it's at, like 1 through 10 could podium on the men's side. And like, except for Tia, I think the race between 2nd and 7th was probably the race. So it happened. Yeah. You got the races in those final heats for sure.
And I think the community as a whole owes the women's field was awesome. Obviously I coached a woman at the games. Yes, Tia relatively dominated. Lucy Campbell was a standout performance in my opinion. Olivia getting on the podium was crazy. There were some good battles there, but I think the social media work that Jason Dallin, Justin, and who am I missing? Jason Dallin, Justin, James did in the last year leading into the games. There was so much story and so much personality to the men's field. And then we had Roman, who has a long story, and we have Jeff, who's a previous champion, who has his own kind of thing going on this year. And like Austin Hatfield, he's supposed to be the next mayhem prodigy, right? That to me, and then the races they had on the floor. Thank you, Marissa. The races they had on the floor is a big part of what made me feel like we're back. Like the boys are back, the girls are back. Like and this is going to continue to go well for a long period of time because it felt like we were seeing athletes and we knew their story, we knew their personality, and there was good races. And it felt the men's field this year felt more to me like the men's field of 13, 14, 15 than in a long time.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think we're in a good trajectory. I don't know who's buying the company. Like obviously there's a lot to be seen, but I mean, I walked away from the games, like obviously like my personal feelings and performance wise and all that stuff aside, like the games was awesome.
Yeah, they just need a better venue.
Yeah, Albany was at best.
They just got to build a place, and then just every year
They do the CrossFit Games hub.
Yeah,
CrossFit hub. That would be so
up
sick.
their own stadium.
So,
Yeah,
hey,
WNBA stadium.
Random question: do you want to come on my podcast sometime?
Yeah, you asked me. I said yeah.
Oh, did I? Okay, cool. I didn't remember.
Anytime.
Cool. I gotta get that scheduled out.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on. This was I did want to talk about what is she saying? It's almost like you're saying Matt Frazier didn't have much personality, lol. But yes, agreed on the men's field and vibe. He had good celebrations, but like he was what do they say? Like a
recluse?
Yeah, a little bit of that, but like you know how like Jason Hopper personality. He's like WWE. And then you got like Matt Frazier, who's like the home and garden station. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, Matt had a lot of personality, but when Matt, I don't know, it was just different. It was just different. Like there wasn't and maybe it wasn't that different, and there was the banter and that stuff, but it wasn't getting put out there.
Yeah, I mean, I could say 2 times in the documentaries that I was like, yeah, hell yeah, Matt, get it. You know, but like that's where he was like, oh yeah, when you come to the games, I want you to come with your best. So when I beat you, it means something. Like that's like one of the only lines I really am like, oh man, yeah, you like really brought the fire, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if we think about like the documentary or the media that they were putting out, even when Matt was doing that and had his run versus when like Rich was really starting to dominate and coming on the scene. I mean, how iconic was it when what was it with Marcus Hendren? What was it? It was they asked Rich what his wheelhouse was, and he said CrossFit.
Yeah, I think that's like, the ambassadors of the sport. I think that's what you're kind of alluding to, and like they need to be, right? Because like football players aren't gonna say anything negative about the NFL. Well, some will, but like generally, you know, the guys that get paid the most, the guys that get the most airtime, like they're gonna like even look at Tyson Bagent right now, getting a ton of airtime, and they're like doing a lot of stuff. Like the Bears are trying to build that presence and everything else. So, like, it's just kind of I don't know. Matt was great, but he just kind of wasn't it for me. And Tia for a long time too. I felt that way. She wasn't really. I would have rather had Cara win in 2017 and beat her in that overhead lunge because I think that would have changed the whole trajectory of Tia and. Because she would have got second for the 3rd year in a row, and I think that would have been a wrap.
It would have definitely been different, for sure.
But like Cara's personality.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
big media personality. Not the media team's job.
Yeah, because Nate said maybe because the media teams were cut in 2018, and I mean to your point, Tristan, James, Dallin, Jason. Medeiros did a really good job this year on their own with their own media. And like what Mercer's saying, it's not the media team's job when you're all on their personal pages and they're always knowing the girls because they're more active that way.
True.
Yeah, it's like, you know, so all Mercer's saying is like self-responsibility of things. Like you can create your own content. Like, you know, Tia's content since 2021 has been fire. They hired BC Vision's Brandon, who does a phenomenal job, and he works with tons of brands. And like, it's like, find the right media person, do it yourself, you know? So yeah. Krispy Kreme. Dude.
I lost that shirt. It makes me so sad.
But yeah, I mean, CrossFit has done a really good job this year. I think they've really impressed with what they've done and how they've turned that around. And they've done it with a smaller team. And it was, it's just effort. And, you know, Greg did say something I think is fair to say about that stuff recently and just said like, you know, when you pay somebody too much for what they're actually doing, sometimes they think they're doing a better job than they actually are. And like, that's kind of what happened with the media team. And he has agreed that he made very excessive cuts to the media team and everything else during that time. And like, I don't know. I don't know if he regrets it. He didn't really say he did. He just knows that like there was some level of level setting that had to happen because people thought that they were like the next thing since sliced bread. And when they brought in ESPN, there was a lot of like pushback because people are like, well, we're the guys, we can do this. And it's like, no. ESPN can do it, you know?
Yeah.
So I think there's a level of that, like, and things are coming out now. Like we weren't privy to any of that, but you look at the team they have, and the chief marketing officer of CrossFit gave us a whole speech at the coaches conference for the games. And like, they showed us everything and the people that they have working for them. And it is like literally like 8 people, you know? So for what they're doing and putting out and covering, they're doing a great job. And I think too many people hate on them for that. But yeah, Greg definitely made a bad choice by cutting the media, but sometimes you have to reorganize businesses, and some people have to get promoted and some people have to get demoted, and just is what it is.
Just part of it.
And unfortunately, Matt fell victim. Matt's HWPO's content was really good when they were like hammering it out. So
it was super good.
That was good. He should have kept going. Do you think he could have won 3 more years?
Probably for sure too.
I think 2022 and 2023 when Justin won, he could have definitely took Justin down.
I don't know if he could have beat Jeff in 23.
Oh, 21, 22. Yeah. Jeff would have been hard to beat. That was a hot year. That would have been tough.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's hard
to say.
Right. Cool, man. I'm excited to listen to the Ascent episode and everything else, and see what goes down this year and what other athletes you pick up. And it's always fun, always good to have other coaches to talk to that, you know, it's because we're like in it. And some days I think our frustrations, we see things and we want people to get better, and we like have a deeper understanding because this is all we do. And then sometimes hard to articulate that, especially in CrossFit. Like if we were marathon coaches or like cycling coaches, it'd be so much easier. Be like, no, this is the thing. So chill. Whereas like, again, it's a moving target and we're always trying to adjust and get better at those things.
Yeah. That's like one of my missions with the Ascend podcast. So I've just come to the conclusion, like, I love to talk to coaches and I want to have coaches on. And for some weird reason, a lot of coaches don't want to talk to other coaches publicly in the space about training. And I'm just going to bug people until they tell me to fuck off or come on the podcast.
Yeah, dude.
So
some people don't want to sit back and say, like you said, like, yeah, we still got to do a lot of CrossFit. Because I think, like I said, sometimes I feel like that might devalue like the one-on-one coaching. But then I think about it in my brain logically, like as I say that out loud, I'm like, yeah, but if we were playing basketball, everyone would still throw free throws. Like, what am I?
Exactly. So, and it's still tailored CrossFit to that person, right?
Yeah. But I think they're afraid or haven't walked themselves through that process yet to be able to say that publicly, because they're afraid that maybe like, oh, well, no one's going to want to be coached by me now because they're just like, oh, well, they're just going to give me classic CrossFit. So I'm going to go next door or whatever. And it's like, yeah, but maybe that's like what you need.
I mean, one-on-one coaching is still one-on-one coaching. It's like, I mean, this is a whole other thing we can talk about on another podcast, or maybe we'll talk about this when you come on mine. Like, I very much often will give several of my athletes a very similar 20-minute AMRAP, because all of you morons need to touch the 20-minute time domain. But like one of you needs to do this movement again this week because you suck at toe to bar, and the other one of you needs to do this movement. Like, and I make it work in a sensical way, but it's still a 20-minute AMRAP. It's still individualized coaching.
Yeah, you should tell the people who say they don't want to come on and talk about coaching is people are afraid to give out the recipe. But even with the recipe, you still have to know how to cook, which is very true.
Well, and yeah, and to Marissa's point, like I don't envision this like when I have on other coaches. It's not like, you know, we're going to get on and be like, here's the PackFit 12-week squat cycle, like to guarantee PRs. It's like, no, we're just going to talk about training and talk about things we've done, things we've tried, like general principles and concepts. And like, because nobody's putting that out there. There's no SMEs from CrossFit putting that out there to the community anymore.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, you used to have that. You had the Barbell Shrugged, you had, you know, the SMEs from CrossFit putting out their own content and CrossFit pushing that content. And now we have so many smart coaches now, way more smart coaches than we did then. And all of us are entirely focused on CrossFit. Like this is literally all we do is coach CrossFit at the highest level possible. And none of us talk to each other and none of us talk about it publicly. It's dumb.
Yeah.
So
Well, you're on a good path. I'm here for it.
Hopefully it works out. If not, we'll just have like a
Oh,
100 subscribers.
But he was joking today because I was telling him when I tore my hamstring, I was doing like a echo bike and taking or a biker and taking shots on goal every 3 minutes with my lacrosse stick, just messing around and getting some fitness in. And he was like, "Yeah, you got to do pack sport," because we were joking with like Mayhem Hunt. He's like 20 burpee shoulder runs into 5 3-point shots. Score is shot percentage.
Shot percentage. That's
Dude,
good.
that's good. That's a good.
That's good.
Basketball player right there. Yeah,
That's good,
functional basketball fitness pack sport.
bro.
So there you go, guys. We just gave you an idea. If you've listened for an hour and 30 minutes, you now know the pack sport training.
Nobody's here except those two, Marissa.
Oh, there's 9.
Cody.
There's 10 people watching, and then we do have a high average of people watching our show, so it's not for nothing.
Sick.
All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe. Share this episode if you think someone will benefit from it. And, if you want to be annoyed by us, hit the notification bell. We go live every Wednesday. And check your Apple and Spotify. We have our wonderful Sophia uploading past episodes onto those platforms so you can listen to them when you drive.
Gang.
See you guys next week.
Thanks for having me on.